that all kings had to bow and kiss the feet of the Pope. All kings, as every nation, I should say. And that's part of the reason why it was written in that should the world ever collapse and things become all awry, that the Pope would have world domination in terms of rulership. That's very frightening.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, sir.
I would always wonder, like over the years, younger and as an adult, like whenever something went on with the Pope or in the Catholic Church, why it would always make the news. And I thought, like, okay, if America was supposed to be a Christian country, why wouldn't like major stuff for Christianity make the news? It was only negative stuff. Like
right.
People mess up.
Mm-hmm. Remember, America is not really a country. And that's part of the reason why America couldn't run the world. America is like a police, like a world police, but it couldn't run the world. Because it's the countries of the world would never allow that. Now, I don't want to allow this getting some kind of geopolitical discussion, but I want you to understand that the Popery is very, very powerful. It's just not pushed, especially this side of the world. And that side of the world, he carries much, much weight. All right. So he has said a number of things, and it appears that it is resounding through. But back to your question, because I wanted to answer this. There is a cardinal that gave written information based on the historical writings of when the Popery changed everything. And they were doing that based upon his speech. So that's why we know that it's not anything of tomfoolery. It's not some kind of, fake news or whatever. Again, time will tell. But the main thing is that this other group, they got out, they had their cardinal, he was an ex-Catholicist, and he brought out the report and read some of the information. I'll be bringing some of that information to your attention on the Sabbath with book references, dates, and times, etc., etc. So we'll deal with that on the Sabbath. Right, is this thing going, sir? All right, anything else, ma'am?
Putin, I saw another video of Putin. He was worshiping, quote unquote, Jesus.
Yeah, well, he knows. As I said, most of the world knows this. America doesn't want that to be known. And Putin has always acknowledged that God is black. That's why have you heard him in his speech where he says that he was admonishing the African leaders, and he said to them that I think you need to do something about this, sir. I need some attention here. So, and what he was saying, if you nations understood who you were and what you are, he said you would never have allowed any of the other nations to roll you over the way that they are. Putin said that. I still have that article. I've kept that on hard copy because that was very powerful. Yep. He said you allowed every nation to come in and conquer you and rule you and take from you. And he said that you just let that happen and you don't know who you are. Because if you knew who you are, you would never allow it. Putin said that. And that's why I remember when Putin had his special meeting, when the black countries came, he had them going to the royal room. And when the French government came, he had them just going into the meeting room. Mic check, check, check. And that's what he had done, you see. He put them in the meeting room and put all of the black into the royal room. And even the media was making a lot of fuss about it. Why they treated the diplomats from the other countries so poorly, and yet the African leaders is treated with such, respect. All right. Anything that anyone would like to share before we go further? Or anything? Yes, ma'am?
They did say that the Brazil High Court and Supreme Court had passed the ruling on Tuesday that any homophobic or transphobic slurs will result in 5 years imprisonment. The same way as if you would say to a black person, call them a nigger or whatever, they're going to raise it up to the same.
The sad thing is that I've never seen anyone go to jail for calling anyone a Negro. I've never seen it. But now you're going to go to jail for 5 years if you call a transvestite, you transvestite so-and-so. Isn't that something? That's why I'm going to stick to reading the scriptures. It makes me feel better. All right. So let's go, if you please, to the book of Ezekiel chapter 1. Ezekiel chapter 1. Now, we're going to go through this, but we're going to still keep in mind how we open. We're going to begin reading at Ezekiel chapter 1. We're still dealing with the subject matter. Same subject matter, but we're going to go into some depth with it. Ezekiel chapter 1 and 1, let's read.
Ezekiel 1 and 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heaven were open, and I saw visions of Yahweh.
All right, so you see what took place here is what took place with John. John saw something in the book of Revelation chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. And here, Ezekiel is saying something similar. Now, what is it really saying? In the first 4 verses, what is it telling us? Let's see if any of you have picked it up. We're reading from the book of Ezekiel chapter 1 and 1. What do we see here? Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, and in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of Yahweh. What does it say? Yes, ma'am.
Is it that Ezekiel was in captivity while he was having these visions?
Yes, that's very clear, and you are absolutely right. He was in captivity, and he had these visions whilst he was in captivity. But what also is it telling us? In the first 2 verses. Read it again.
Ezekiel 1 and 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar.
All right, so what does it say? Brothers and sisters. It's very clear, but I know you're missing it. It is clear, it's right in front of you. But I know you're missing it. Why are you missing it? Why? Tell me. Read it again, one more time.
Ezekiel 1 and 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar.
That's where your answer is. So what does it say? Yes, sir.
Ezekiel was amongst Jewish captives?
Yes, but she said that. And you're right. But what does it say? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Is the northern kingdom from the exiles, meaning the dispersed? And also, is this referring to his age as well?
His age, man. It's his age. Not necessarily the northern kingdom or southern kingdom, not necessarily that. But he tells you, now it came to pass. This had happened and the reason why you miss it, because it says in the 30th year. He didn't say in my 30th year. But he said in the 30th year, in the 4th month, and in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives. I was 30 years old. That's what it's saying. So it's 30 years old. So make a note of that. But you'll miss it in the future. So it's exclaiming his age. Now, why is that so important? Read verse 2. Read.
Verse 2. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim captivity. Jehoiakim's captivity.
Right. Read on.
The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel.
Came where?
Expressly unto Ezekiel.
Now, why does he push that point? The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel. What?
The priest, the son of Buzai, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar. And the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
Upon him. Now, again, it's telling us something. It's making it very clear what has happened at this point. It said expressly unto Ezekiel. Then it says the priest. Go to Exodus chapter 19 and 5 for me, please. Exodus chapter 19 and 5. Go there for me. Go there. Exodus
19:5.
Read.
Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant.
And do what?
Keep my covenant.
And keep my covenant. Go on.
Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure.
Then we as a people will be a peculiar what?
Treasure.
Go on.
Up unto me above all people.
Above all people.
Of all the earth is mine. For all the earth.
Go on.
Is mine.
Is mine. Above all people. For all the earth is mine. Read.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
A kingdom of what?
Priests.
Go on.
And an holy nation.
Go on.
These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Unto who?
The children of Israel.
That's why priest does not come from any other nation but from Israel. The only reasons why they have priests is because they piggybacked on our methodology. They didn't have prophets until they heard how our men could see into the future and have visions. Then they created their own. There were false prophets, but their whole objectivity was to make the king feel good about himself. But you'll know that even the other nations recognized that their own prophets weren't good. And they would say, send for the prophet that comes from Israel. Bring him here and let him tell us whether we're going to win or lose this war. Because they knew the true prophet comes from the true and living God Yahweh. Have you got that? Now, watch this now. Read.
Verse 7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people.
Go on.
And laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him.
Which what the Lord did what?
Commanded him.
Go on.
And all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord has spoken, we will do.
That's the reasons why we are in the hell that we're in, because we agreed back then and we turned from our words. We agreed all that you said, Moses, we will do. Do you know how many times we came to an agreement and said, yes, we'll do it, only to turn and go back to the weak and beggarly elements? Finish it.
And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Most High Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses,
Stop. You can drop it there. Let's go back. So here, when we read verse 3, read it again. Now we'll bring it clear to some of us. Go on.
Ezekiel 1 and 3. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar. And the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
So it said the hand of the Lord was upon him. Now the Lord had touched him, anointed him for service. Traditional among our people, a man cannot truly enter into full ministry by way of the priesthood until he is 30 years of age. That's why Yahushua could not enter into doing the things that he was called to do until he was 30 years of age. Now, why is that so important? Because 30 years of age gives you a barometer as to where the Father sees us, his people, in terms of this illustrious group of people who will look a certain way. Our age will be like that of a 30-year-old. Because whether you believe it or not, that's when you're at your best. That's when you're at your finest. That's when you're at your maturest, beginning to move from there into wisdom. That's why a man who has not collected or advocated himself, or woman for that matter, to wisdom, as they then matriculate into age, you have become a foolish individual. Why? Because life has traps set ahead. And there are stumbling blocks before you. And if you don't develop wisdom, you will fall and you will collapse. Why is this happening to me? Because you could not see. You became like a blind Bartimaeus. You must use wisdom, because wisdom is the principal thing the scripture says. Therefore, get wisdom. But in all you're getting, get understanding. Here, the hand of the Lord was upon him. And it set him ready for his ministry. Are you seeing this? It prepared him for what was about to come. This man here had to prepare himself. And if we were to, in fact, let's I haven't got a lot of notes here, but make a note of this. Write it down. Everybody needs to write it down. Ezekiel was part of what's called a priestly family. Because a lot of people don't know much about him. They read him, they've heard his name, but you don't know. He comes from a priestly family. And they were carried away in captivity by the Babylonians. And again, we'll be exploring that even more this Sabbath. In the year 597. 597 BC. And he prophesied intermittently from 597 all the way through to 571. And just so that you know this, when his family was taken into Babylon, he was 25 years old. So by the time he was in Babylon, to the time that the call came to him to answer, he was now 30 years of age. that make sense, everyone? Everybody got that? Now, he was also a married man. We'll touch that later, but I'm not sure I'm going to be staying in here. I think I might stay here for a couple of weeks or whatever, see how the Spirit leads. But he was a married man. Did any of you know that he was a married man, by the way? A lot of us don't. But he was a married man. And what we must also understand as well, the scripture tells us that the Most High was now going to block him from what was called the desires of his eyes. Make a note of that, because again, when I use these statements, it's biblical, and it would be memory joggers for you. Right? Now, run with me, if you please, because of time set. Run with me to Ezekiel chapter 24. Run with me to Ezekiel chapter 24. Bear with me. And we're going to read from verse 15.
Ezekiel 24:15. Also the word of the Lord came unto me, saying.
Watch this now. Listen carefully. For those of you that would be used advancedly in ministry, this you've got to read. But read.
Son of man, behold, I will take away from thee the desires of thine eyes with a stroke.
Did you hear that? He said, I'm going to take away from you the desire of your eyes with a stroke. Now, what does he mean by that? Can anyone tell me? If you, any of you read Ezekiel? Okay, so let's pull on this. What is the desires of a man's eyes?
His wife.
Who said that?
His wife.
Who said that? Oh, you said that. His wife. Why would you say it's his wife?
I have a note in my Bible that Ezekiel's wife was the desires of his
They give me jokes now, right? Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. I could have noted my wife. That's good. Yes, but that is true. His desire of his eyes was his wife. Now, what's this? This is very sad, but read verse 16 again. Read.
Ezekiel 24:16. Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down. Forbear to cry, make no mourning for the dead. Bind the tire of thine head upon thee, and put upon thy shoes upon thy feet.
Read.
And cover not thy lips, and eat not the bread of men.
Read.
So I spake unto the people in the morning, and at even my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded.
Read.
And the people said unto me, wilt thou not tell us what these things are to us, that thou doest so? Then I answered them, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh.
Read.
Behold, I will profane my sanctuary, the excellency of your strength.
Go on.
The desire of your eyes, and that which your soul pitieth. And your sons and your daughters, whom ye have left, shall fall by the sword.
Read.
And ye shall do as I have done. Ye shall not cover your lips, nor eat the bread of men. And your tires shall be upon your heads, and your shoes upon your feet. Ye shall not mourn nor weep.
Read.
But ye shall pine away for your iniquities, and mourn one toward another.
Go on.
Thus Ezekiel is unto you a sign.
So, everything that took place with Ezekiel was a sign to them to come. That they would lose their loved ones. their sons and their daughters. And when you've lost them, don't shed a tear. Because if you had not fallen into this, they would still be here. But you went back on your word, Israel. And for that, even the desires of your eyes will be lost. He said, I will wipe them out with a stroke. They will die. To bring you into submission. Isn't it something that we become so stiff-necked that the Most High has to use even those who are nearest and dearest to get us on track? Now, there's only two things that happen at this point. Only two. One is you recognize the wrong and you quickly straighten up and move forward. Or the hurt is so bitter that you wave your fist at God and you prefer to die rather than do anything. Very sad. Very sad indeed. But here, Ezekiel would rather suffer what he would suffer to know that the Most High, he gives and he what? And he taketh. And notice what the writer said? Blessed be the name of the Most High. Now, remember, he knew enough about the Almighty at this point, and it came clearer to him later because the Most High would take him into a valley and show him nothing but dead things. But he showed him also that where things are dead, the word can bring them alive. This is very powerful. But let's go back to his early days. Let's go back to chapter 1, verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and fire unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Read on.
Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet. And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Now, burnished brass means what? Can anyone tell me? Yes, sir?
Bishop is black.
No. Burnished does not mean black.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Bronze color?
No. Burnish, the word burnish. Yes, ma'am.
Copper? Copper?
No, that's not what it means. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, dark brown?
No. Burnish. Burnish.
Grayish, when it burns on the edges?
No. You see, that's where the word is catched you, because it said burnish. You're thinking it means burned. Burnish. When you can burnish a spoon. Yeah. Yes, sir. Polish. That's right. When you burnish something, even though it did not have a shine, when you got finished, it had a shine. Remember, when it uses the word brass here, the word brass is in the same derivative of the word brown. It's in it. But what I want you to be clear is that when it used it, it said that this brass was polished. Polished. Now today, you will get people who want to give you all manner of evil by saying, no, brown is brown. No. Don't be nonsensical. Something that has the color of brown, because even gold at one point was called brownish. In fact, the African name, is like Guyana or Gandhi or something of that nature. I don't remember it exactly. That's why they have various pronunciation for the word gold, because it was darkened and it was a burnished type of brown. And that's why the same name that was used in Africa is the same name that was used here in America. You see? Same name. That's why they knew the people were from that part of the world. How you live so far and over here now, you're using the same words they used over there. So that's the connectivity. And as a people, we are connected because of our words. That's why your language had to cease. Because if you knew your language, then you could reconnect yourself. But does anyone in this room remember the language of your forefathers? No, none of us do. We can only go back to the beginning and know that our language was that of Hebrew. So here it says that it has these four living creatures. Now, what is it saying? Go back and read verse 5 again, please.
Ezekiel 1 and 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures.
Go on.
And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man.
One had the likeness of a man. Go on.
And everyone had four faces.
And they had four faces. Go on.
And everyone had four wings.
And they had four wings. Go on.
And their feet were straight feet.
Go on.
The sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot.
Go on.
And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Read on.
And they had the hands of a man under wings.
And they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their four sides. I need it to be read concisely, sir. Read.
Sure. And they four had their faces and their wings.
Read.
Their wings were joined one to another.
Go on.
They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward.
Read.
As for the likeness of their faces.
Go on.
They four had the face of a man.
One as a man.
And the face of a lion.
One as a lion.
On the right side. And they four had the face of an ox on the left side. And they four also had the face of an eagle.
All right. So it had the four faces. Sister Sandra, give me your thoughts, since you have a very good Bible there. So what do the faces refer to?
The four, well, according to my Bible, the four aspects of God.
Let's say that again?
The four aspects of Yahweh.
Okay, so, all right. Let's go down that road for a minute. What are they? What are the four aspects?
Okay, man is the only creature made in the image of Yahweh. The lion is the sovereign of the animal kingdom. The ox is the strongest domesticated animal.
Go on.
And the eagle is considered by many to be the greatest bird.
All right, good. So let's break all that down. Four faces on one head. Now I'm breaking it down so everyone understands what does this creature look like. It has one head and it has four sides on the head. And it tells you that the first prominent face was that of a man. And we know that is prominent because that's first mentioned to us in verse 5. They had the likeness of a man. You got that? Then when we jump back up and it's, let's see, verse 10, it says, as for the likeness of their faces, therefore had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side. Got that? And they four had the face of an ox on the left side. So they had the lion on what side?
Right.
And they had the ox where? On the left side. And therefore, if the man's face is prominent, that means that the eagle's face must be where? At the back. Now, what you said was perfectly correct, but let's give more detail to it. Because man is made in the image of the Most High. So, the image of the Most High is the fact that he has eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. That's how we know we are in his image. There's no variant in terms of what he looks like. He looks like us. Now, his angels bear some resemblance, but this particular group of angels, they're in a completely different class. They are part of the almighty rankage. That's why the Most High allowed this man to see something he had never seen before. In fact, it put him in terror. And so when he wrote about it, he saw what today we would use terms like a monstrosity. A face in the front that looks like a man, and a face in the back that looks like a bird, an eagle, because an eagle is the greatest of all the majestic birds. It is the bird that flies the highest. In fact, it's the only one that can fly close to the stratosphere. When you see them up there, they're never in flocks. They fly in, you'll see one over there, way over there, another way over there. They don't bunch together, not eagles. They're too great to be followers. They lead. That's why they're eagles. An eagle also has the eyes that is able from way up there in the sky to look down on the ground and see a rabbit and can swoop down with great speed and catch that prey in its tentacles and then move with great swiftness. Even right here in Texas, there used to be, I don't know if it still exists, there used to be a law that said if you have small dogs, don't leave them in your garden. Don't let your baby be crawling around. Because even a hawk, which is of the same family, a big hawk, a strong one, can take that baby or take that dog away. They're that powerful. And so here's the other thing to bear in mind. It also has the ability to see from the heaven into the waters and see fish and dive from the heavens right into the waters, capture its prey and swim out of the waters like it belonged in the waters, and swim out of that environment into its own environment, showing you that it has the ability to trafficate between two worlds. It's powerful. I remember the first time that I had to do a thesis on this, it blew my mind. And also, what you must understand about the eagle is this. Once every certain period of years, an eagle has to change completely. Because remember, it's on the opposite side of man. And man has to change. If you're still the same man you were 5 years ago, you've got a problem. If you're still the same woman you were 5 years ago, you've got a problem. you have become slack in your development. As a man, you must continually keep on developing. The greatest muscle you have is in your brain. That must get greater. If you're still the same as you were 5 years ago, you fail. You must grow stronger. Somebody said, oh, Pastor, you point out, Lord, yes, because it's not written there for show. It's written there to teach us how to become better because we're being equipped for kingdom. And this is your apprenticeship. And all the puzzles and the evidence is written here in his word. Man must also, in his doing, become someone who recognizes sovereignty that is over him. Man. Did I not say that man must change? Oh, yes, he must. Man must also learn to be in rankage, in rank, and follow. But I like to lead. You can't lead unless you learn to follow. We used to sing the song back in the Christian days of Pentecostal church. We said, where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will go. You have to learn to follow. Otherwise, you cannot lead. You know when I won't say that, use that word, but it's not a cuss word because some of you said, well, I just don't do it. What I'm saying, I was going to say, I will use the word moral, but it's not a nice word, really. But simpleton is maybe not a better word. We become so simple. We've got to learn to become men that are growing in spiritual power. Now back to the eagle. The eagle finds itself where it has to crawl into a place called thickets. Thickets. In the thickets, the eagle will crawl through. It's like thickets are like barbed wire, but made from vines. They have lots of prickles and stems on them. And the eagle will pull itself through and tear every feather of its body. Every feather. And when it comes through, it will literally be naked and torn and blooded. That's the eagle. The eagle then will take its talons and it will smash them against the rock until he has no, what you call nails, talons, that he can grip the rock where he is now hiding. And then the last piece of the puzzle is that he takes his beak and he smashes it against the rock. And his beak falls off. Now he is helpless. Showing us where men have to be. You have to be in a place of helplessness and know that your help only comes from the Most High. And in this thicket where there are rocks, he is prey now. Remember, he is the apex predator. Now he becomes prey. Because anything that dwells on the rocks of mountains could come and take his life. And notice, the eagle now goes to a state of fasting where it's not eating anything much. Because whatever it has stopped is just sufficient to keep him alive. And now he's eating without the ability to cut, because his beak would do that. He's eating without the ability to tear, because his talons would do that. And he has to do his best to take what the provision he has provided for himself and take that until his body is nourished. And he begins to go through what's called a stage of healing. He's being healed. And then as the time and the seasons go by, his feathers start to grow back. As the time and seasons go by, where there were no times, they're coming back. Even his beak is starting to grow. But he has to wait. That's what the scripture says. They that wait on the Lord shall do what? Renew their strength. Then they will do what? Mount up with wings of an eagle. Now what you're seeing there is what will take place with us, and why we go through the hell we go through now. He's trying to get you ready, brother. Trying to get you ready, sister. The pain that we go through, the suffering we go through, is to get you better. Because once you've been through this, and someone tells you you can't deal with that, you say, listen, you stay away from me. Because I know what I can deal with, but don't bring your losing self over here. You know what you had to go through to become who you are today. Huh? And then we have on either side of the flanks of it, we have now the ox. The ox is the greatest and the strongest of all the labor forces, showing you that you cannot be in this walk and not labor for the Lord Almighty. I work the work of him that sent me. That's what Yahweh said. Whilst it is day. That word day is not speaking about literal day. He's speaking about a time when you could see everything. But he said, for the night comes when no man can work. Meaning, because he knew this, because he knows in the future he's coming back with the hordes of heaven, the multitude, the host of heavens. And when they come, their whole purpose is to shut off the lights. And then the night will come when no man can work. And so we must labor. And here's the other thing about an ox. An ox will do what it's asked to do and never complain. How many times has somebody told you to do something and you complain? Do you have that laboring spirit? Do you have that gentilism of an oxen? I doubt it. I hope you do. But the oxen had to labor, and it pulled weight, and it tears up ground through plowing. It does whatever it is asked to do. An ox is like a horse in terms of its loyalty. It will go until it drops dead. But here's the thing about an oxen. The writer tells us. It knows his master's home. He knows where he belongs. And if he ever gets lost, he'll find his way home. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. And the last one, what is that? Remember, we dealt with the man, we dealt with the eagle, we dealt with the oxen. What's the last one? The lion, of course. Why? Because, behold, the scripture says, the lion of the tribe of Judah that can break any chain. Here's the lion that will not allow anyone to intimidate him. He has the ferociousness. He has the anger and the strength that when he roars, every creature stands still regardless of its size. Because the lion is letting all of his prey know, I'm king, and I'm the King of kings. And Yahushua is King of kings and Lord of lords supreme. For there is none like him. Gone? And on that note, I have to end this particular portion. And if the power be what it will, we will gather again on next week, should our life spare, and we will go into further depths of this. Khan,
That's good.
Rokatha Yahweh, all praises. All right, well, I hope that you've enjoyed this teaching. This is an exploration into the life of Ezekiel. Join us next week and be on time as we will for this study where we will be dealing with Ezekiel and all of the notable things. In fact, they're all notable, but we'll cover as much as possible. Today we dealt with the sad as well as the tempestuous as well as the heavenly things that this man had to go through. We look forward to seeing you again, all our brothers over in the UK who continue to tune in each week, and even our brothers over in France and the rest of Europe. Again, we look forward to speaking with you. And our brothers over in the continent of Africa. We look forward again to continue to break bread with you. And our brothers here in the United States, or the United States, over here in the Americas, maybe it's a better word. All our brothers who listen to us, both north, east, west, and south, we look forward to seeing you again in the week to come. And we say shalom in Yahweh's name. Selah.
Selah.
All right. All right, any questions that anybody have whilst we will receive some alms? Any questions in regards to the teaching? Anyone?